Good morning. I've done part of my makeup this morning. I wanted to highlight some new products. So I've got my foundation. I use the Catrice, and for my concealer I also use the Catrice, use my Laura Mercier powder, and I've got my brows done as well. So today we're going to try the new bronzer and contour by GXVE, the new highlighter by GXVE, a new L'Oreal blush, the new Covergirl tinted lip balms. We have an e.l.f. tinted lip balm, the NYX fat oil, and the NATASHA gold palette. The NATASHA DENONA gold palette has been out for a while, but it's not been in stock, and recently she re-released this with a couple of other palettes, and I've wanted the gold palette. It's the one palette that's been missing from my collection, so I really wanted the gold palette. I jumped on it, I got a discount, I purchased it, so I thought we would put these items on today. So let's start with GXVE by Gwen Stefani. This is the contour and bronzer. This is the second shade. It's called Toastin', and so I figured we would apply this together. So it appears to me that the contour shade is a cream shade and the bronzer is a powder. I think this is genius. This is what I've been asking for in a palette for a long time. Not two bronzers, not a bronzer highlighter, not a bronzer blush, but a contour and a bronzer. So we're gonna go in first with the contour, this cooler color up here, and I'm gonna dab lightly because I don't know how dark this is. And we're gonna dab it right here where you see this natural shadow to kind of sculpt my cheeks a little bit. This so far is blending out really well. I'm going to put it on a little bit heavier so that you can really see this contour here. So you look at my face, you can see right here it looks a little more chiseled on this side than this side. So that's where I like to apply my contour. Let's do the other side here, right where this shadow is, under my cheekbone. This is definitely a cool enough of a shade to be a good contour for me. There, very subtle but effective contour of these fat baby cheeks. So let's go in with the bronzer now. This is a little bit of a warmer shade, which I prefer a cooler shade, but we're gonna see how it works. I'm gonna start with this right here on my forehead. We're really bringing the pigment. So as I'm blending it out, I'm seeing that this is a nice shade for me. It's got a reddish tone, which is what I prefer. This is blending out pretty well. Warmed that forehead right up. I'm gonna apply a little bit more, a little further up on my cheeks, bring it up to meet the the bronzer up here, because you do get sun right here. So I'm trying to apply my bronzer anywhere the sun would hit me. A little bit over the bridge of the nose here. This does have a little bit of a powdery scent, but I just noticed it, so it's nothing really strong. So again, just taking a little of this bronzer and highlighting actually closer to the cheekbone where the sun would hit, and bringing it up to meet the bronzer. And then just a little bit down here on my jaw. My foundation was just a little bit too light. That Catrice I need to get in a darker shade. So I'll bring the bronzer here, over the nose, and just a little bit in the crease. So I hope you could see how impactful the color is and how nicely this went on. Next, let's go ahead and apply the highlighter. This is Give, and it's called Check My Glow. So this is reminiscent of some of the old school highlighters. So you could use a smaller brush and dip into one of the single colors, or do what I'm going to do and take my e.l.f. Duo complexion brush, swirl it around and apply it. So I just use a little bit, and this looks very subtle, not blinding. Nice subtle glow. I'm on my way to work today, so my uniform is hanging back there. So I think this is a nice subtle glow for work. I'm sure if I got a smaller brush, I could really make this pop. I hope you can see that. It's very pretty. So I like the highlighter, subtle. I'm going to play with it a little bit more with the single colors and see how different they look, but swirling it all around, just a very light dusting. I think it looks very natural. The Infallible Blushes by L'Oreal, so many of the shades have been sold out. I believe this one is Rosewood, shade 20. So these are along the same lines as the Infallible bronzers, the whole Infallible line, Infallible, however you guys say that word. And this is a rosy brown shade that I think will mimic sunburn look on me perfectly. I've already used this once, full admission, and it is very pigmented. I'm going to go in with just one tap of my brush, and I'm going to apply this higher up here, kind of on the top of my cheekbone. So that was one very, very light tap with this Infallible blush, so you can see how pigmented these are. I feel like this looks just like I had hoped it would look. Gives me that she's been in the sun this afternoon kind of look. One more tap. Tap the brush off right here, right on the top of this cheekbone. The bronzer I put a little bit lower on the bottom of the cheekbone. I blend it up here in my temple to also meet my bronzer. And literally one tap is all I need for this. Very nice. A little through here. Just adds some cohesiveness. A little over the bridge of the nose. So the blush is along the same lines as the bronzer, which is one of my top 3 bronzers in my stash. So I have 2 of the Covergirl lip balms. This is called the Clean Fresh Balm. And so I have 2 shades. One is I Cherish You. This is a bright pink color. The other one is the one that's been sold out, and it is Bliss You Berry. It looks very dark, but on the lips, it's a beautiful tint. So I'll apply this first just so that we can see both of them. Hold, please. Very light, matches the blush perfectly. And I feel like this would look good for a lot of different skin tones. It's kind of like the Black Honey by Clinique, and I think that's why it sold out so fast. So this is I Cherish You. I'm going to put this on top. You won't be able to totally see the true color, but hopefully this will help. My intent was to blend these together to match the pink in my uniform today, so. Okay. So the I Cherish You is a nice summer pink, and on top of this Bliss You Berry, I feel like it's the perfect kind of dark pink that'll match my uniform. This is the e.l.f. lip balm, and it's adorable. It has a little heart here in the center. I'll put this on too. Very creamy. And this has a decent amount of pigment, even though it's a lip balm. And I would say that this and these are very, very similar. So if you can't find these, they're a little more scarce probably because they've gone viral on TikTok. These e.l.f. lip balms, I would say, are just as good, and they have a few more shades of the e.l.f. Next, let's try the NYX Fat Oil. I think this is in Supermodel, and I've used this a couple times and I love it. It has a nice big fat doe foot applicator. Smells yummy. And it feels just so yummy, wonderful on the lips. I love it. So I've got like 4 colors on my lips. Took one for the team today, but I think it'll match my uniform perfectly. So those are the lip products. Now to the highlight of this video, the NATASHA DENONA Gold Palette. The Yucca palette is out early for Sephora members today, and I'm ordering that, so I'll be reviewing the Yucca palette. The Gold palette, though, I've wanted for the longest time, and it was just not on the website, so I went to eBay, Poshmark, all of those sites, and they wanted $200 or $300 for a used gold palette, and I'm glad I held out because this is one of the large palettes. It's not a midi palette, so it's $129, but I got a great discount on this, and so I was happy to purchase this palette. Finally, my NATASHA DENONA collection is complete, and I couldn't be happier about it. So let's use our really nice Rephr brushes here, and the shades are on this plastic sheet, so I may have to go back and forth. The first one I'm going to use is Sandstone, and I'm going to use Sandstone as a transition shade. And it is about the same color that it looks like it is in the pan. And of course, it's blending itself. I'm just continuing to blend just because I feel it needs to be done. I used the Essence Eye Primer today, and I think I forgot to use powder over it. I used a little bit of powder. It's a pretty good primer, eyeshadow primer, but you have to use just a tiny little bit or it will crease. And I tend to have better success blending eyeshadows when I have used a powder over it. So in my opinion, it's just a little more high maintenance than my Milani, my Ulta, some other primers that I'm also getting familiar with that I've highlighted in recent Sephora videos. So there we have our transition shade, just the perfect transition shade. So even though I'm going to be at work, I am going to go a little bit dark today and smoky, so I'm going to use this packing brush. I'm going to go into this deep teal color and put this on the lid. And I'm just going to pack it on just like this. It's not going to look perfect or blended or anything like that. It's one of those trust the process moments. Okay, let's do the other eye. I'm trying to be very careful because I already have my base applied. So I prefer not to have any smudging. These darker colors, especially like these dark blues, are so hard to make, but this is not patching or uneven at all. I was expecting a challenge and I did not get a challenge. So now I'm going to lightly blend right up here. Make sure this looks seamless. Very pretty. Okay, so this is what we have so far. I want to take this dark green now. I think I'll just actually use my fingers. And I'm going to put this on the outer portion of my eyelid. Right here. Really pretty. That's a nice sparkle color. The next color that I want to go into is this multi-chrome. It's green to gold to brown, very shifty shade. Put this on the inside portion right here. Oh yeah, it's showing up really nice. Oh wow, she's pretty. And it just really pops over this dark green. Oh my. Wow. I really love this. Now for the inner corner, let's take one of our rougher brushes. I'm going to go into this light color. It looks white on the camera, but it also has some little different flecks in it. Pop this right here in the inner corner, just to brighten it up. Really nice. Very pretty. I'm going to take my rougher 15 and I'm just going to add just a little bit more of our transition shade right in through here because I want a very seamless blend. Hope you guys can see that. It's so pretty. All right, that's gorgeous. I'm going to take a very small brush. Where are you? There you are. And I think I'll go into more of a medium brown shade for the lower lash line. All right. There we go. This is our eye look today with the NATASHA DENONA Gold palette. I'm going to find some eyeliner and get a couple coats of mascara on, and I'll be right back. All right, here is my finished look. I used one of these Kaleidos holographic multi-chrome eyeliners for my lower waterline. And my favorite mascara of all time, I repurchased the L'Oreal Voluminous. I have black, brown, and black. And I don't know how well you can see my lashes, but there's just no other mascara I've tried out there that's as good as the L'Oreal Voluminous. So that's my finished look using the Give Bronzer Contour Highlighter, the L'Oreal Blush, Covergirl, ELF, NYX Fat Oil, and the NATASHA DENONA, the NATASHA DENONA Gold palette, as well as the L'Oreal Voluminous mascaras. I hope you enjoyed today's look. I am going to be getting the new Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette and a blush. I'll be getting the new NATASHA DENONA Yucca palette, the new ABH Cosmos palette. I'll be reviewing those. Stay tuned. Again, please subscribe. Please like this video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.